Variable, the first variable that we wanted to identify was changes in price. And this was case number 1. And remember, this was very specific. When we talk about changes in price, we made a change in the price of the good in question today. So this was very specific. And what it looked like graphically was this. We had quantity, we had price. Here's our demand curve, downward sloping. A change in price. Do you remember the specific language we use when we say there's a change in price? How do we refer to this? Very good. A change in price, how we refer to this is changes in quantity demanded. Good. This is when you have a movement along the demand curve. So what it looked like graphically was, let's say we have P1. Here is the quantity associated with P1. A change in the price of the good in question today. So for example, if we lower the price, here is an increase in the quantity demanded. So from P1 to P3, lowering the price of quantity demanded increases from Q1 to Q3. Or you could raise up the price, say to P. Raise up the price, quantity demanded falls from Q1 to Q2. That was the idea behind a change in the price of the good in question today. And remember the example we were using. You have a change in the price of Pepsi, then the quantity demanded of Pepsi will change. That's case 1. If you expect the price of Pepsi to change next week, that's not this. If you see a change in the price of Coca-Cola, that's not this. But this is very specific. A change in the price of the good in question today, and you slide along the demand curve. We also looked at case number 2. This is kind of where we left off. We started it, but we didn't finish it. And these are all the variables that affect demand, but they're not the price of the good in question. So they don't fall under changes in price or case 1. These are non-price factors. Don't come together. They affect demand, but they're not the price of the good in question. The key thing graphically, let's set it up. Here's your demand curve. Remind me, there's a change in a variable that's not price and it causes demand to increase. What would we do?
Demand changes.
Demand changes, and how do we show it? Very good, shift it to the right. Very good. This is an increase in demand. And as Tony is reminding us, the language is we have a change in demand. What about a decrease? How do I show that? Very good. Shift it to the left. This is a decrease in demand. Right is an increase, left is a decrease for all variables that are not the price of the good in question, but they affect demand. Now where we kind of left off, we started listing variables that fell under case number 2. Yeah? Variables that would shift the demand curve. So, just to remind me a little bit, tell me some of these non-price factors. Case 2, you're shifting the demand curve. Tell me the first one. Your taste or your preference. You guys remember how this works? Your taste is favorable towards something. What do you expect? Or how do we show that?
You shift it to the right.
You shift it to the right. So if our taste becomes favorable towards something, it shifts to the right. If it's unfavorable, it shifts to the left. What was the second one?
Number of buyers.
The number of buyers. This is fairly simple. More buyers to the right. Less buyers to the left. Yeah? And what was the third one?
Price expectations.
Price expectations. And be careful with this one here. Remember, it's what you expect in terms of prices in the future. So it's not a case 1 issue. It's going to be shifting the curve. How did this work? As a consumer, you expect prices to go up in the future. What happens? So if you expect prices to go up in the future,
Shift
Who
right.
said to the left?
To the left.
Who said to the left? Yeah? So you are a consumer, you expect prices to be higher in the future. What are you going to do today? So where would it go today? Yes? Flip it around, you expect prices to drop in the future. Yeah? Let's continue with some non-price factors so you can continue with your list. So let's continue. Other variables that affect demand that are not the price of the good in question. I think I was calling these ABC. Yes? Let's say you like sneakers. Nice ones. They can play basketball in and do stuff. Nice sneakers. Let's say you get a raise at work. They say you've been doing an excellent job. I'm going to give you more money. Your income goes up. When your income goes up, you earn more money. What should happen to your demand for these sneakers that I'm talking about?
If I like them, I would want to buy more.
So more income, which way would we shift the demand curve?
To the right.
Yeah, everybody agrees? You get more income, demand would increase. It goes to the right. Okay, so more income makes sense. Demand would increase, it goes to the right. What about they come to you and say, you know what, Nick? It's not working out. God forbid this happens. But I'm going to have to let you go. So your income goes down. What should happen to your demand for these sneakers I described?
It would shift to the left.
So less income to the left. Makes sense. Here's my scenario for you. You finish college, transfer to CSUN, major in accounting. It's a good program over there, by the way. Finish majoring in accounting, get a new job. Remember, you were a student, earning 0 or negative. Now you get a new job, you're earning more money, your income goes up. What is going to happen to your demand for a used car? Let me be more specific. What's going to happen to your demand for a 1990 Honda Civic, based on that scenario I just gave you? So now you get a new job, accounting, good field. Let's say they start you at $50,000 per year. And I'm asking, you get more money, what's going to happen to your demand for that 1990 Honda Civic?
It won't be as high.
He's shaking his head really hard, like. But I thought when we got more income, it would go to the right. In this scenario, when you get more income, what's going to happen?
I'm gonna want to buy something better.
So what's going to happen to the demand for the 1990
It's
Honda?
gonna shift less.
It's going to shift to the left. Which means it matters what type of good we're looking at when we look at this income variable. The first description, the example I gave with Nick, this particular good, where when you get more income, you demand more of it, and when you get less income, you demand less of it. These are called normal goods. Most goods are normal goods. More money, we buy more of it. Less money, we buy less of it. Now the example with Chris is different. The example with Chris, as he correctly told me, when we get more income, for this particular good, he's arguing and he's right, more income demand will go to the left. Less income for these goods, it will go to the right. When you get less money, you tend to gravitate more towards these goods. These goods are called inferior goods. So watch the income variable. It matters what type of good we have. There are some goods where when you get more income, you buy more of them. Less income, you want less of them. Those are normal goods. There are other classes of goods called inferior goods, where when you get more income, you actually want less of them. And when you get less income, you want more of them. A used car is an example. Used clothes in some instances. Ramen noodles. You get a job, you stop eating that stuff. A bus pass is considered an inferior good. You get more income, you tend to buy a car, that sort of stuff. So watch the income variable. It matters what class of good we have. So be very careful. Normal good, more money, to the right. Inferior good, more money, to the left. So be very careful here. the inferior good, and when we say inferior good, it's not indicative of the quality of the good. So people say inferior good, it means it's inferior. Not necessarily. The inferior good is just referring to how you feel about it when you get more money. So it's not indicative of the quality of the good. It's not because it's low quality. It's just how you feel when you get more money and how you react in terms of demand to that good. That's the income variable. Yeah? Here's one more variable. Non-price factor shifting the demand curve. And this one is the price of related goods. So the price of related goods. Now there are certain goods and services that have a relationship with each other. Price for Pepsi, and here is the demand for Pepsi. So Coke and Pepsi, let's set that up. Now remember, when you see the price variable, be very careful. If it's not the good in question, you need to be shifting the curve. So listen, that is the market for Pepsi. I am going to argue Pepsi and Coca-Cola are clean substitutes. Use one in place of the other. Suppose you go in the store and now the price of Coca-Cola is now more expensive. How does that impact the Pepsi market if Coca-Cola is now more expensive?
The demand shifts to the right.
Very good. Everybody agrees?
Yes.
If the Coca-Cola gets expensive and it's either or, Coca-Cola is more expensive, then you're going to buy more Pepsi. So we would shift it to the right. This is when the price of Coca-Cola has gone up. That's how substitutes work. If you're going to be opening your own business, and you have a competitor who is considered, and I'll show you later on how you can calculate if something is a substitute, and you have a competitor who's considered a substitute, it's your job to watch their pricing. You might be going, why am I watching their pricing? Because if they're substitutes, the change in their price impacts your demand, which means they can have an impact on your profitability. In terms of strategy, part of your job is to figure out how other variables impact the demand for your good. And I'm saying if a good is a substitute, you need to be careful overall in terms of how they price their good. Because if they lower their price, in this example, Coca-Cola is now cheaper, how does that impact the demand for Pepsi? It's going to go to the left. If Coca-Cola is cheaper, I'm going to buy the Coca-Cola, which means I'm not going to be buying as much Pepsi. So it will go to the left. This is when the price of Coca-Cola went down. So maybe in terms of strategy, if they offer a sale, you got to be very careful. A competitor is a substitute. You're doing something in terms of a sale and lowering price, you better be ready from a strategy standpoint. That's one relationship. Goods could be substitutes. They're used in place of each other. The other thing that could happen is this. They could be substitutes. It's not F, let me just call it example 2. It's still under related goods. So they could be substitutes or they could be what we call complements. They could be substitutes or they're complements. Now complements are goods that are used together. Now complements, you always use them together. That's the idea behind complements. You gotta use them together. That's how they work. Don't use one without the other. Can you give me some examples?
Milk and cereal?
Milk and cereal, I'll take that. Even though me, sometimes I get a little ghetto and put a little water. Yeah?
PB&J.
Peanut butter and jelly. That's a very classic American example. I don't get it, trying to get it, but I agree, those are complements.
Hot dog buns and hot dogs?
Absolutely. Hot dog buns and hot dogs. I agree, those are complements. Anything else?
Laundry detergent and dryer sheets.
You always use them together?
Well, I mean, I use them to do.
I'll take that for now in terms of being complement. The computer and the computer software, the Xbox console and the actual game. So you don't buy a game if you don't have the console. What are you going to do with it? The cars and the tires on your car, those are complements. You always use them together. Now let's use peanut butter and jelly example. I'm still trying to figure this out. Here's the market for peanut butter, which means this is the price of peanut butter. And this is your demand for peanut butter. Notice the consistency. Peanut butter. The price of a related good. We're arguing peanut butter and jelly, they are complements. You always use them together. There's always some student that says, oh no, I use a banana. Forget that. Right? You always use them together. What we're going to argue is the price of jelly has now gone up. Jelly is now more expensive. How does that impact the peanut butter market?
It goes less to the left.
Everybody agrees? If the jelly gets expensive, think about it. If the jelly is expensive, then you're going to buy less jelly.
Yeah, I think you buy the same. Wouldn't you buy the same?
If the jelly gets expensive, do you agree that you're going to drop your quantity demanded of jelly? You're going to buy less of it?
Yes.
Yeah? Now, if you buy less jelly, you always use peanut butter and jelly together. Wouldn't that translate into you needing less peanut butter?
No, that's why you would buy the same amount.
Same amount of what?
Let's say jelly, you would buy the same amount of peanut butter.
Why?
No, like you buy the same amount of jelly and peanut butter. So if you used to buy 10 jelly, now you buy 8, you also buy 8 peanut butter. Same concept.
So the demand
It goes down. That's the point. So don't say the same because we need to have a shift. So if it is that the price of jelly goes up, the peanut butter is going to shift to the left. So you buy less. This is when the price of jelly goes up. Yeah? What about if the jelly gets cheaper?
Shift right.
It's going to go to the right. If the jelly is cheap, you're going to have a whole bunch of jelly because you're going to buy more. And if you buy more jelly, then you're going to need more peanut butter. So this, if you're selling goods and services, you, the person selling goods and services that are considered complements, you got to watch the pricing of both. You have to be very careful. From a strategy perspective, it might even make sense to offer one thing for free so that you can have increased sales on the other. So guys that shave, I know guys not shaving now is a thing, but for guys that shave, what is expensive on that equipment that you use to shave? Is it the actual tool itself? Is that expensive? What's expensive?
The razors.
The razors, yeah? They could give you the tool for free. You can't do anything with it. So they can actually give that to you for free. Give it to you for free, you need the razor. When you have compliments, you have to be very careful about how you price things. But if you overprice one, you might cannibalize the sales of the other. I remember, I don't know if you guys were around, you should be around. But you know this company called Apple, right? I remember when they came out with a particular device that changed the market completely. It's a little bit of sense in terms of how complements work. They came up with a particular device, and they also had, in my estimation, a complement associated with that. Now they had two options when they came out with these two things. They could sell the device very expensively, and also sell the particular technology associated with the device. What they chose to do instead was offer the particular technology almost free. Go download it, get it free. But by doing that, you had to then buy that particular device to use the technology. Fast forward to today, and the market I'm talking about is the MP3 player. Yeah? The iPod. I know they have a lot of i stuff now, but I'm talking specifically about the iPod when it just came out. Oh, it was so cool.
Has it been fat? Like really
No, it was a little Scandi. You see what I'm talking about? You could plug it in like one of those little Scandis flash drives. I thought I was so cool with mine, with all of my 200 songs. But before, how we consume music was, if you were like me, I'm always driving and I'm listening to the radio. And I'm like, who is this singing called Fetty Wap? This song. And I'm driving along. I say, you know what, I want to hear more because this stuff is really entertaining. Now before, how we consume music was, we would have to go buy the CD or the entire album for this individual with 25 songs to hear the one song that you were kind of bobbing to on the freeway. Now, they come with this technology, and I'm talking about the iTunes library. And that just came out to kind of revolutionize the way we consume music. Because now you could just buy one song for 99 cents. Now today it's what, 129? Well, back then it was 99 cents, one song. But to buy it on this free technology for 99 cents, you needed the piece of equipment. Now again, remember they had two options. They could say, if you want this technology and buy songs for 99 cents, well, I'm going to charge you a one-time download fee of $150. But they were smart. It's understanding how compliments work. Almost offering it free because they weren't interested in that per se. They wanted to sell the iPod. Again, from a strategy perspective, you need to know how these things work. Okay? These are some of the popular variables that can affect demand. There are lots more, but I just gave you examples of some of the popular variables that affect demand.